dealing with any type of lost debt can always be a stressful process. These are the 5 steps to make this process easier for collecting debts in Korea. The first step we need to determine is if you, the overseas creditor, has the right to demand payment from the domestic debtor. To determine this, we need to gather any written or physical document that has proof of the domestic debtor promising to pay back the money. This can be a promissory note, emails, signed contracts, text messages, or anything in writing. Having any of these forms of evidence will make the next steps much easier to proceed to get the debt you're owed back. In the second step, once it's determined you are owed money back, a demand letter will be sent out to the domestic debtor informing the amount of money owed, time frame for payment, method of payment, and the possibility of a lawsuit if the demands laid out in the letter are not met. Also, if the domestic debtor is attached to commercial business and you have forms such as a contract or a copy of the domestic debtor's license, these can be used to conduct a financial investigation to see if the debtor's real estate or automobiles are attached to their bank. In this third step, if the domestic debtor does not respond to the demand letter or does not make payment by the designated date, then a lawsuit can be filed against them. If it is proven the domestic debtor had no intentions of paying back the overseas creditor, then they can be convicted of fraud under the Criminal Act. Once it is determined there is enough evidence to proceed to the final steps, the process of compulsory execution will begin. If the domestic debtor has any property, the sentence will be executed against that property first. If the property has not been established, an additional application for proof of property is filed at the same time as the application for attachment at the 4 biggest banks in Korea. Additionally, the debtor's personal property at their address is filed as well. If the application for attachment of the debtor's deposit bonds gets approved, it would be good if the deposits are at one of the banks. If there are none to be found, it's okay. These measures alone will put significant pressure on the domestic debtor to voluntarily pay by the increase of interest rates and decrease in their credit. On the final step, once the application for a statement of the domestic debtor's property is sent out, but the domestic debtor denies that there is any property, then an inquiry will be sent to the court. These inquiries check whether there are any personal valuables such as real estate or any types of bonds under the debtor's name. If nothing is found, the domestic debtor will be registered as a defaulter. This will stop them from being able to do any economic activity such as finding a job, renting a home, and the inability to get insurance benefits. In addition, a continuous attachment of the domestic debtor's movables means that the debtor will not be able to move anywhere else. If the domestic debtor moves to another area and does not report his or her new place of residence, he or she then becomes an unknown resident with an erased resident registration. On a final note, hopefully this situation never happens to you. Always look out for the warning signs and use prevention measures as shown in these videos if you ever get yourself in a financial situation with somebody in Korea.